And doesn't Churchill Reserve look like an absolute picture? Good evening, folks. Welcome to DinamoTV. And that video footage was taken earlier today by Matt Sharkic and sent in to us. And boy, all is in readiness for what is going to be a massive Croatian derby this coming Sunday. Good evening. My name is Tonči Prusac, and I'm going to be with you over the next hour. It's an absolute pleasure to be with you. And that's right, the Croatian derby, Dinamo versus Hajduk, our own eternal derby. Might not be as eternal as the original one in Croatia, but nonetheless, we're going not to fight, but we're going to celebrate both clubs on what is going to be an auspicious occasion, because this Sunday we finally mark our return to the main pitch. And there's going to be all sorts of festivities being planned on the day, including two of our Croatian folkloric groups, Hrvatska Zora and Mladi Hrvati, will be performing the national anthem. There's going to be a lot of VIP guests in attendance, a lot more happening as well, and which we will go through and touch on later on in the show. As we said, it's a massive show tonight. We've got two big guests. We're going to be speaking to the under-19s men's coach, IAN BURKE. And Burke, well, he had a little bit of a success last weekend coaching temporarily the under-23s. Adam Tenanini, the usual coach, was unavailable, and he did well with the win. But we'll be talking to Burke a bit later on in the show. One player who's been doing very, very well, despite the senior team not doing as well as is expected, and is Lucas Byrnes. Lucas has been scoring goals aplenty in recent weeks. I think he's scored in the last 4 games, and he's in red-hot form, and he'll certainly be itching to score another goal on Sunday against Dandenong City Hajduk. And we'll be chatting to Lucas a little bit later on. And if you're kind of keen to find out what does he do during the week to prepare for a big game, well, you want to sort of hang around and listen to that, that's for sure. All right, folks, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we return, it'll be time for the news desk here on DinamoTV. Don't go away.
The IAN Group is regarded as one of the largest deliverers of concrete structure solutions in Victoria. Formed in 1994 by Ivan and Kathy Filipovic, their passion and commitment to getting the job done safely and economically has underpinned their success in the industry. IAN partners with large-scale building and construction companies in both the private and public sectors on projects large and small. With our corporate headquarters based in South Melbourne and storage yard based in the southeast suburbs, we have at our disposal thousands of square metres of quality materials, along with state-of-the-art lifting and crane equipment, enabling us to deliver the largest projects. We are committed to delivering high-quality projects by partnering with our clients and collaborating with project suppliers to ensure each job is delivered to exceed expectations. From humble beginnings, IAN now employs more than 1,200 dedicated professional and support staff, involved in a number of landmark projects right across Victoria. The IAN Group is a massive supporter of the Croatian community, backed soccer clubs in Victoria, and is proud to be the major sponsor of the St Albans Dinamo Football Club in 2024.
Welcome back to the news desk. And while we're on the subject of the IAN Group, a big thank you to our sponsors. Ivan and Kathy Filipovic from the IAN Group are true pillars of our community there. An unwavering support of Dinamo over the years speaks volumes, and their generosity never goes unnoticed. And thank you for consistently going above and beyond, not just for Dinamo, but for the entire Croatian community here in Victoria. And it's not just the football community that they support. They support a lot of community organisations as well. All right, with that in mind, let's talk about what's making news. Now, let's take a trip back 35 years ago, because on the 13th of May, a very important event happened that was going to basically change the course of history. And we're talking about our sister club in Zagreb, Dinamo Zagreb, and it was that famous incident of the match that never took place, Dinamo Zagreb against Red Star Belgrade. in the final season of the former Yugoslav competition, the Yugoslav League, and Zvonimir Boban, the captain of Dinamo Zagreb, a legend of Dinamo Zagreb. In fact, he wasn't the captain then; he was just a youngster, but he protected the supporters from Dinamo Zagreb who were being attacked by the Yugoslav militia, police, or the militia as they used to call them. And 35 years later, he returned in front of the spomenik, or in front of the monument to all of the fallen Bad Blue Boys members who died in battle during the Homeland War, in his role as the football director. And there he is carrying the blue flowers, or vijenac, as we'd say in Croatian. So, yeah, we stop and pause and remember what happened 35 years ago, virtually to the day. All right, to matters a little bit more in the present today, we'll still look back at what happened in the past, and we're going to take a look back at what happened last Saturday night in the NPL Victoria clash between Dinamo and Hume City.
Melbourne victory last week, earning his Yildiz and Aizen Ishak into the starting 11, the exact same one that started earlier this week. And for St Albans Dinamo, where for the boys in blues tonight, it's somewhat of a homecoming. A number of these Dinamo players were at Hume City last year. Of course, Cam Watson as well, having recently spent time here in the north as well. We'll go through their starting 11 as we go along. Hume City. It's a fast tempo so far. And Lloyd Isgrove is an igniter. We're still looking at Lloyd Isgrove here. Gregic trying to chase down. It's going to come back. Early goal! Knocked in by Tabele. Platt won't get his chance to convert the penalty that he earned. Josh Galevsky gets it past Michael Weir. And he scores against his former club here. It is Grove. Struggling to get it past Mills here. You get another chance, Isgrove. Still with Lloyd Isgrove. Went down a little too easily in the box. Platt read it well. Charan, that's going to be placed exactly where he would have wanted it. Chance now for Burns to wind up, and there is the lead for St Albans. Lucas Burns does it again. Has scored 3 goals in NPL Victoria since coming back from Dandenong Thunder. Kurta versus Riley. Riley picked the right way, but Kurta still found the back of the net. And it's 2-2 here. This is Jackson Riley. The second penalty of the night for Hume City, the 3rd overall. Has only scored 3 times this year in NPL Victoria, Lloyd Isgrove. Burkhan Kurta took the previous penalty. 3rd one of the night for a 3-2 Hume City lead. Isgrove puts it into the same bottom left corner that Burkhan Kurta did. It's 3-2. Are up here. We'll just drop punts it into the night sky. Isgrove is underneath. Exidius with him. We'll go back quickly to Riley. Will Quartermain has not blown the final whistle. Now he has. And Hume City's winning streak continues. And what a...
Not the result we wanted, but to concede 2 penalties like that, to lose a game having conceded 2 penalties, not the result you exactly want to achieve. There's the statistics there. Josh Golevsky scoring in the 21st and Lucas Byrns in the 55th minute. And if we have a look at the results of round 13 of NPL Victoria, not a good result for the Croatian-backed clubs, apart from our opponents this Sunday, Dandenong City, who defeated Melbourne Victory 3-1. The Knights got thumped 4-0 by Altona Magic, and we went down narrowly to Hume City 3-2. We find ourselves in 10th position at the moment, but dangerously close to that drop zone, and we certainly don't want to be in the relegation zone for too much, close to the relegation zone for too much longer. One bright spark from the weekend's round of football was the appointment or selection of our own Oliver Dragicevic in the NPL Team of the Week. Well done to Ollie, congratulations. And let's have a look at the results of the all the teams. As we know, the seniors lost 3-2. The under-23s, they won 3-2 against Hume City, and the under-19s had a rather uncharacteristic 1-5 loss at the hands of Hume City. We'll be speaking to the coach of the under-19s, IAN BURKE, next up, but he was also Victoria's coach of the under-23s, and we'll find out how that came about on the weekend. Our women, unfortunately, went down 3-0 to Uni Hill Eagles on last Friday night in their first home game of the season. They'll be looking to make amends this weekend when they take on Altona City. In the junior boys NPL, it was round 2, and the games were against Ballarat City, and our 14s won, but the rest of the teams lost, unfortunately. So not good news there. Let's have a look at the ladders. So if we have a look, first of all, at the under-23s and the under-19s, the Dinamo in the under-23s are in 7th spot and in 5th position in the under-19s. The women's, after losing 3-0, they've got a record now of 1 win and 1 loss from their opening 2 games, currently in 4th position. And as we said, they will be coming up this weekend. Actually, it's Moreland Eagles that they do take on. It's Moreland Eagles they're coming up against, and there we go. Moreland Eagles against St Albans Dinamo, and that game is at Wallace Reserve this Sunday at 1 o'clock. In the boys, they'll be up against Eltham Redbacks, and all of their games will be away and at the Eltham North Reserve. The 14s kicking off at 9:35, I believe. 10:10, sorry. The under-14s kicking off at 10:10, the under-15s at 11:35, under-16s at 1:15, and the under-17s at 3:10. Very unusual kickoff times for all of those ones. If we have a look at the ladders for the junior boys NPL, the 14s there, they are in 8th position. The under-15s, they are in 12th position. Then we move along to the 16s, who are unfortunately on the bottom of the competition standings, and the 17s doing the best out of the lot in 6th position at the moment. Okay, moving along to all the social news that is happening and that is coming up. Now, first of all, the memorabilia appeal. We've been going on about this for a while now. Dinamo is planning a call to arms action day for past and present members to bring in photos, jerseys, nostalgic items, merchandise, anything that can be borrowed or scanned for our 50th anniversary book, which will be published later this year. And that's all happening this Sunday from 12 o'clock in the club rooms, and you will not need to part with your belongings. The folk there in the memorabilia committee or subcommittee, they'll be taking scans straight away there on the spot. Also happening this weekend or this Sunday, the Pork Fest. So that's happening from 12 o'clock. Served by the kilo, straight off the spit. Bookings are essential though, folks. So message Anna on 0401 505 100. So the game Obviously, this will be preceding the Dinamo Dandy City game at 3 p.m. Later that evening, afterwards, it will be the last man standing raffle at 6 p.m. So a huge day happening at Churchill Reserve this weekend. We're expecting a massive crowd, so do come along and celebrate the completion of the redevelopment of Pitch 1 with a Croatian festa. And as we say, ain't no party like a Dinamo party. We'll have the Spits turning all day, Sam on the harmonica and Rob Spoiler for the entertainment. And then the big games at 3 p.m. As we said, last man standing raffle happening at 6 p.m. Lots happening this week. Lots happening. We're going to take a very short break. When we return here on DinamoTV, we'll be catching up with the head coach of the Dinamo men's under-19s NPL team, IAN BURKE. Don't go away, folks. Welcome back to DinamoTV, and it's time for our first guest for the evening. And I guess he's the coach of what we could best describe as the best performing Dinamo team so far this year. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? We'll certainly find out when we speak to IAN BURKE, coach of the under-19s team. Berkey, good evening and welcome to DinamoTV. How are you?
Tonchi, thanks for having me. Yeah, great to be on the show as always.
Now, I've really picked a weekend to get you on the show because on the weekend, the boys didn't perform as well as they did. But before we do go on about that, you're still the best performing Dinamo team because the boys are in 5th position as we speak.
Yeah, that's nice. I didn't realise that. I suppose it is nice to be up there, but at the same time, as both Tuna and myself have stated many times, the 23s and 19s is about us getting players ready for the next level and also bringing players through from underneath. So it's nice to be up there to the top side of the ladder, especially after a bit of a shaky start to the season. But the player development is the key for us.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that you make about the player development side of things, and parents and players and sometimes even coaches can get carried away by the results side of things. But I guess you're what you're doing at the 19s is a good example. The good results come with the work behind the scenes, and because I think you gave me an astounding figure. Something like 27 players have been used on the roster throughout the season so far, including 9 players that have stepped up at any one time from the under-17s. Now, that's an incredible statistic, given you finished in 5th, or you're currently in 5th position. How have you seen that integration of some of those younger players into, well, basically the senior squad, isn't it, or the open age men's squad, the under-19s?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things to this. So first of all, I think the work that Jason Trefiro is doing with the juniors has been excellent. We had Mark as the 17s coach at the start of the season. Now Nico's come in. He's doing an awesome job with those kids. So there's lots of conversation between the three of us, between myself, Nico, and Jason weekly about which players should be coming up and which players have earned the right to come up. And there's probably still a couple more that haven't come up yet that we should still be looking at and take a chance on, which we will before the end of the season. But at the halfway stage of the season, to have had 9 players from the 17s come up.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is not a single one of them has let us down. So my excitement I don't know what the future holds for me and whether the club wants me and whether I'm at the club and that sort of stuff, but I'd love to be. But if that's the case, these young boys that are coming through the 17s, there's something to get really excited about because there's a couple of absolute gems in there.
Yeah, and look, it's quite exciting because there seems to be, for me, looking from the outside in, there's that whole integration of the 17s going into the 19s, but then the 19s stepping up to the 23s, And on the weekend, you had a little bit of success with the 23s. So it wasn't all doom and gloom as far as the last weekend's round against Hume City. Tell us about the 23s.
Yeah, it was a long day Saturday, but I did get the opportunity with Adam's absence due to a family event to coach the 23s as well. So the disappointment of losing the 19s game and not performing so well, the 23s were able to bounce back after going 2 goals down early on, bounced back and won 3-2. And really, second half, just dominated the game. Sat in Hume's half. They couldn't get through us. The boys followed the instructions from halftime just perfectly, which should be happening because there's quite a number of boys there in that 23s group that are dropping down from the seniors. They're training seniors all week. So their necessity now to be able to follow instructions from a coaching perspective is what's going to hopefully get them to the next level.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the ladder. The 23s have now shot up to a very respectable 7th position. And after that win over Hume City. So fantastic come from behind result. As we said, we're not getting too carried away by ladder positions, that's for sure. But it's all about the development. Now, obviously, we've got Jason, who's in Europe at the moment with Football Tech, and they are doing some outstanding achievements. The under-10s that they've taken. Obviously, Nico Markovsky, who's come back to the club and he's now in the 17s. I mean, the calibre of coaching we've got at Dinamo. So it's not just the calibre of young talent that we've got coming up through the ranks, but it's the quality of coaching as well. And, you go further up the tree and there's Turner there, and then you've obviously Cam Watson and his entourage up the top. It really is, when you look at it, not so much short-term, but medium and long term, as far as the club is concerned, it's very, very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And as a coach, for me as an individual, as a coach, the beauty of having such good people to work around you is that I can learn things from them as well. So whether it's working up and watching what Cam does or watching what Tuna does, or even work with Nico and Jace and seeing what they do, the beauty for me as a coach is that I'm growing as well and constantly learning. So that hopefully it will only make me better in the future.
Yeah. Halfway mark of the season. Oh, look, the last time we caught up with you was pre-season, and now it's the halfway mark of the season. I guess just putting the ladder position aside, I mean, obviously we've got to take that into account, but just overall, how have you felt with the development of the 19s so far this season? And other boys, is the squad heading in the right direction, heading into the second part of the season?
Yeah, it definitely is. Until the weekend, I think we'd gone 7 games unbeaten. So we had 5 wins and 2 draws in 7 games, including a really good game against Green Gully at home that we drew 1-1 and possibly could have snatched at the end. So that's a team that's above us on the ladder. But I think now for this group, the next step is we can beat the teams around us and we can beat the teams below us. But the teams above us, so the Dandy Cities, the Souths, the Gully and Hume. So they're the 4 teams that have beaten us. So the test now for these boys moving forward, if they want to progress to the next step, which is obviously 23s football, they need to try and find some sort of consistency and be able to front up consistently against those better oppositions. So, because that's where the test is.
Yeah.
So trying to, I think, working with young boys, there's lots of distractions, the ages that they're at. And we constantly say, we don't pick the team, they pick themselves. So they pick themselves with their application, with their attitude, with their intensity that they bring at training. And now the consistency is starting to come into it as well. So all these things molded in together will determine how far they go on their football journey.
Yeah, you mentioned a very important point there, attitude, and especially at this age, it's a very kind of a difficult age, I guess, with the transition from youth to men, I suppose. You've been at the club now for a few years, and how have you seen any changes, especially taking into account all of the stuff that the club is trying to do off the field as far as coach development, putting into place as a more professional setup? Have you noticed a change in the behaviour, the attitude of some of these youngsters coming up through the ranks?
Yeah, look, I think that's a really hard question to answer because every player's individual and they're all different. And they've all got other things going on outside of the soccer club. So I think the club's in a really good place. We see the work that's been done on pitch 1. all the efforts from the committee and from Ilya that they're putting together to try and make our club a better place is just going to lead us. It's going to lead us in the right direction. We're taking steps forward all the time.
Yep.
And as I say, now with these players and these young boys, whether they come with us or whether they, I mean, at the end of the day, I see my job as, can we get senior footballers out of this? Now,
Yep.
that senior footballers, if it's at Dinamo, that's fantastic. And that's the ultimate goal. But it may not be at Dinamo for some of these kids, because that might not be the level that they want to be at in terms of how much commitment they have to put in and time they have to put in. Or it may not be where they're at ability-wise. Like, that's the cold, hard facts, unfortunately. But when I talk about attitude of these boys from the start until now, they're coming on in leaps and bounds, and they're doing all the things that we asked them to do. It's just the mentality side of trying to be able to do it week after week after week, as opposed to do it for a couple of weeks and then maybe it drops off.
I suppose over the years, and we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year as a club, Dinamo has always been kind of that, almost like a transitory club between the top, the elite, the professional level in this country, whether it was the NSL in the past or now the A-League, and then the kind of the semi-amateur clubs from the state leagues or the lower reaches of the VPL. And I guess two great examples of that is Nicholas Milanovic, who's at Western Sydney Wanderers now, and Anthony Didlitz as well. Are these youngsters kind of looking at some of these players, either past or present, and looking at them as inspiration? And already, can you see some of the kids already mapping their own way, that they want to play at an elite level, that this is not just social, this is not just playing with mates? And can you see, sort of, without naming names, obviously, can you already kind of start to identify some of those kids that have got that little bit of an X factor that you think in 3 to 5 years' time they will definitely be playing at a higher level, whatever that may be?
Look, I really hope so. Like, I get excited when I walk into our club rooms and you see the shirts that are on the wall of players that have come through and have started at Dinamo and then have gone on to bigger and better things. Like, you can't not get excited at that. So I really hope our young players are looking at that. They come into the club rooms, they're part of the club. They see the enthusiasm that's around. Like, this Sunday, it'll be huge. Dandy City at home. Hopefully pitch 1 will be open. There's the concrete works being done. The scoreboard's up. Like it's exciting this week. And so hopefully those boys are thriving on that, and they're feeding off this excitement. And then when they do come in the rooms, like I say, they look on the wall, they see those shirts, and they get excited about, okay, if I put the effort in, if I put the time in, and if a little bit of luck sometimes as well, if all of that goes their way, then why shouldn't they reach for the sky?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, on the flip side, I guess with all the work that has been done, we mentioned Jason Trefiro and Football Tech. We're talking about Nico Markovsky at under 17 level. Yourself and Tuna doing a great job in that development phase as well. Are you starting to notice, or are you starting to get inquiries from kids from other clubs, whether it be lower ranked clubs, VPL 1, 2, VPL 1, etc., state leagues, other junior teams that you guys play? Are you starting to notice that there's a bit of external interest in, maybe next season coming to Dinamo?
Look, with the junior stuff, I guess that part of it I'm not really involved in.
Yeah.
So it's only the 19s and the 23s. Every now and again, there's inquiries from some kids that might want to come across because they hear what we're doing. Because I think our record between Tuna and myself and the club as a whole, in terms of bringing kids through the juniors and getting them senior opportunities, I reckon we're unrivaled compared to some of the others that are around us. So our club's in a really good space in terms of bringing these kids through. But that's fine for kids to want to come from outside. Yeah. But we've also got to look at the ones that we've already got. So the ones that we've got that have committed to the club and have been at the club for a number of years, it'd be remiss of us to ignore that and try and bring externals in just because. So, like I said before, we've got some really, really good kids coming through that 17s group. Yeah. So for me, if they keep going the way that they're going, they're the ones that I want to work with. So if you ask them to do something in a game, they try to do it as best they can. They want to learn. They want to be involved in the 19s from what I'm hearing around the club. Yeah. So that's where the future is. It's the players that we've already got.
That's a really interesting point, and I love chatting about that. And I guess, we constantly go on about very exciting times at the club. But yeah, look, the next 3-4 months I think is going to be even more exciting. Obviously, with the off-field celebrations for the 50th anniversary, but also where we take the various teams on the field. From you, as far as you're concerned, mate, the next 13 rounds, the second half of the season, what's going to be your main focus with regards to that? Are you already going to kind of look at blooding players with the view for next season, or are you going to focus on the here and now and try and get the most that you can get out of them currently?
Yeah, there'll be a little bit of both. Like I say, the players pick themselves week in, week out with what they bring at training and their application and how much they want to get better. There'll always be pressure coming from the 17s up because those boys are performing well. So we'll continue looking at those and bringing them through. But there's always that view of, okay, well, where does that leave us next year? So when these boys are coming through from the 17s, I tend to look at that and go, well, they're getting an extra chance at an extended trial, if you like, to push and show themselves for the 19s. So as I said before, all those boys that are coming through from the 17s, they're doing a really good job when they come to the 19s. They're doing nothing but impress me. So they just got to keep doing that. But then at the same time, when they go back to the 17s, they've got to try and maintain that level and stand out.
Yeah, well, it's going to be very, very. We're really looking forward to the second half of the season. I think it's going to be quite entertaining and enthralling. But Sunday's game is going to be a fantastic game. Get there early, folks, and watch the under-19s in action because it's going to be a tough game against the top team. But the Croatian Derby always ends up being quite fiery and quite eventful, and I'm sure Sunday's game will be no exception. Game kicks off at 10 o'clock, is that right?
It is. It's a bit of an early start for us, which early starts seem to have been a bit of a problem for us.
Yeah.
Monday nights have definitely been suiting us. And I've got to say, too, a big thank you to everyone that's been supporting us on the Monday night home games. We've had some really, really good crowds. And the football has been really good. So we had a 4-4 draw with Avondale where we equalised in the 94th minute. We had the 1-1 with Gully. And we're getting heaps of support around the club on those Monday nights, which is awesome. And I think that probably gives extra enthusiasm and the atmosphere builds so the boys can put on a performance. So hopefully people at the club are enjoying that.
Yeah, hopefully that's the case. Well, we're certainly appreciative of everything that you're doing with the and the rest of your coaching team as well, with some of our youngsters there at the club. Good on you, Berkey. We look forward to catching up with you again, and we'll see you on Sunday.
No worries, Tonchi. Look forward to it. Hopefully we see lots of supporters down there on Sunday for a ripper day.
Good on you. Take care. IAN Burke, the coach of the St Albans Dinamo Junior boys, or the under-19 boys, I should say. He does a lot of work with the juniors as well. All right, we're going to take a very, very short break, and when we return, we'll continue with tonight's episode of DinamoTV. And welcome back to DinamoTV. Well, we've got a massive, massive game coming up this weekend. The big Croatian Derby in the NPL Victoria Round 14, and it's the second half of the season. It's going to be a massive crowd. The senior team finally returning to pitch one, and we are expecting a huge bumper crowd because there is something going on all day at Churchill Reserve. But to tell us a little bit about what we're expecting from the senior team this weekend, but also what's been happening over the last few weeks, I guess, is our next guest, who's been in, individually speaking, very, very good form, fine form. He's been in, he's a goal machine at the moment, and we're going to hear more about what is happening with Lucas Byrnes, our special guest on tonight's episode. Lucas, how are you?
Good, thanks, Tonchi. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate, good. Now, the team's been struggling a little bit after what was a really, really good start, but we'll talk about the team a bit later on. But what about yourself? You've been doing really, really well, and you've been scoring quite a few goals. You must be pretty happy individually as far as your form is.
Yeah, individually, obviously, pretty happy with sort of my last month. I think it's 3 goals in 4 games, which is always nice to get onto the end of them. But yeah, just a little bit disappointed with some of the results. But yeah, we'll keep on working and hopefully can turn that around.
Yeah, we'll talk about last weekend just gone by. Bit of a disappointment, of course, obviously. 2-1 up at one stage, but then conceding 2 penalties. We won't talk too much about the referees or anything like that, but it's an awful way to lose a game, isn't it? I mean, it's almost like losing the game on a penalty shootout. The last 2 goals there, but I mean, the team, looking at the highlights and whatnot, this team seemed to play pretty well, particularly in patches, and the boys must have been really, really deflated afterwards.
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't think it's sort of been just the Hume game as well. I think this past month we've put in some really good performances, and unfortunately just haven't really been able to find a way to win. But I think the game against Hume, yeah, we're really unlucky. Again, just a few moments where sort of switched off, and yeah, conceding the 2 penalties were a little bit disappointing because I think we were in complete control, and yeah, I think we were on track for a pretty big win.
Now, Cam Watson, the coach, he must have been fuming because that's his old team, and he's brought over a couple of players from Hume as well. And there's nothing worse than losing to your old team, but especially when you're in a position to be leading and to be dominating. Was he pretty not happy after the game?
Cam's a person that sort of likes to move on pretty quickly.
Yeah.
He was obviously disappointed because, yeah, again, I think we dominated pretty much for 90 minutes, and again, lapses of concentration, the penalties and stuff like that let us down. But yeah, we just sort of said, got to put it behind us and move on to the next part of the season, which, yeah, just hopefully we can sort of muster something that is a little bit more deserving of what we think we're deserving of.
Yeah,
last month.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're at the halfway mark of the season. I guess this is a good time to sort of take a step back and have a look at the season so far. But let's have a look at Saturday night's. There's highlights there from Saturday night's game, and we've got some highlights there of your goal. Take us through this game, through this goal.
Yeah, obviously, I think Gergs wins the ball. That's Millsy. Yeah, Millsy wins it, and sort of just we like being fast in the transition, and yeah, Mickey had some nice hold-up play. Got Jerome through, which obviously us wingers like getting on Tientov, and yeah, what a ball from Jerome. Basically, just put it right in front of me. Didn't have to do too much work, and yeah, happy to finish it.
Yeah, but the distribution there was just absolutely sublime from the back. I mean, the tackle there was absolutely fantastic. But then after that, the passing just seemed to be. That's a team that's in the top 6, not a team that's in the bottom, half of the competition standing. So there's moments like that of absolute sheer brilliance. And look, after that, like, you were pretty excited, and so were the boys. But it must give you like a real confidence boost. And now it's really a case of just keeping that momentum going for the whole 90 minutes and the concentration as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, it's you said it right there. It's just sort of lapses of concentration that are hurting us right now. I think, 5 weeks without a win, which again, we're all pretty disheartened with it because there's definitely a few games in there that we think we should have won. But again, it's football, and yeah, it's sort of on us to turn it around.
Yeah, and there's the ladder position. So we're in 10th position. Altona Magic recording a big win over our sister club, Melbourne Knights, who are really struggling at the moment. And gosh, who would have thought South Melbourne, Melbourne Knights at the near the bottom of the ladder, and then you've got Port Melbourne as well, who are struggling. The scary thing is we're only like 2 points off, second last on the table, so it's fairly close. But at the same time, I'll bring that ladder up again. All we need is a couple of wins, and we're kind of, in the middle of the table, just outside the top 6. And I guess it all starts with Dandenong City this weekend, a crucial game. How much are the boys looking forward to being back on pitch one?
Oh, I think it's something we're all pretty excited about. We've had to be the travelling team pretty much all year. Obviously, we had a few home games on the top pitch, but doesn't sort of compare to pitch one and Churchill itself. Obviously, the boys on the hill.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to it, and hopefully it's a start of something good. I think we play Altona as well next week on there, so hopefully it's just the start of a few wins on the board, get us going.
And they're two crucial games, aren't they? I mean, look, the Croatian Derby, all form goes out the window. We know in those games they become quite tough, very well contested, and we know quite a fair bit about Dandenong, obviously. But Altona Magic, that's another game. And looking ahead to that, that was a game that really hurt when we lost to them at Paisley Park on a very, very windy sort of an evening that we were just it was just one of those frustrating games, but we ended up losing it. Are the guys sort of trying to focus on one thing at a time, but have they also got a little bit of kind of revenge in mind and already keeping one eye on 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, of course. I think even Dandenong as well. We drew with them for the opener.
Yeah.
But like you said, if we can get back there and take our revenge and win, I think the boys will be happy. But it's got to start on Sunday.
Yeah. Now, when you came to us, Lucas, towards the end of last season, immediately after that, I think you were the good luck charm. The boys went on a roll and they just became unstoppable. And I think it was like 5 out of the last 6 games or something like that at home that we ended up winning. And that was what saved us. Now, sadly, we're in the same position, but at least we're not, with 5 or 6 games left. We've still got another 13 games of the season to secure safety, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on our run home, if you like?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's halfway. So you can sort of look at it as we're in a relegation battle, but you pick up 1 or 2 wins, and all of a sudden you're back with the pack. So it's something that us as a team have looked at. We've gone up against some of the best teams in the league and gone toe to toe with them, and maybe even should have pinched a point or 3. So if we can pick up some wins on the board, I think anything's possible, and I know the group of boys are confident we can do it.
Yeah, excellent. Now, you, mate, we're getting back to your own form. You seem so settled. You seem so you've taken your football to another level. And, I mean, you're one of the key players towards the end of last season, but this year, obviously, yourself and Josh Golevsky, you guys seem to be going toe for toe for that Golden Boot Award, doing very well.
Yeah.
What do you put that down to? Have you had just a really solid pre-season, or you just seem to have been, because you're a bit injury? You had some
I had some injuries before I came, but I think I spoke last year about my body and feeling good. I had a really good pre-season, but unfortunately had a sort of like a minor little hamstring strain just at the back end of pre-season, and I missed round 1. But ever since I've come back, again, feeling good, and it's a team that's very attacking, and I'm like I think everyone's seen. My goals are all created by my teammates, and I'm just lucky to get onto them and finish them.
Yeah. Now, mate, I often ask this question of players that are semi-professional, and when we're recording this interview, you've just come straight from work, and then you're going to dash off to training and what you're not. How hard is it combining? You're training 3 times a week or thereabouts. Plus, you do your own extra training, no doubt, outside of those hours, and then you've got the game.
Yeah.
Plus, you got work. What are your secrets? Do you really watch what you eat? Do you get a lot of extra hours of sleep? Do you have a bit of downtime? What do you do during the week to just sort of keep yourself at 100%, match fit readiness?
Yeah, I'm sort of player that likes to go off the cuff a little bit. I love the sauna. I get to the sauna 2-3 times a week.
When do you do
So-
that? Do you do that kind of before a game, after a game, kind of?
Yeah, I like to get there after a game. So if we play on a Sunday, I'll get there on a Monday. But yeah, I usually go on Tuesday and Thursday when we're not training. It's just a good reset. Feels good with the body, and just get away from football. And yeah, I obviously was at the academy at City and Western United. So now having to work and train, you sort of look back at that and think, far out, I took it for granted a little bit. With our difficulties now, but yeah, I think everyone's pretty conditioned with it, and I don't think it's a factor that we use it as excuse. When we get to training, we're all pretty switched on and ready to train at 100%.
Yeah. And what do you do? What do you do outside of football?
At this moment of time, I'm doing part-time electrical work with my uncle.
Yeah. And is that sort of, when you think about it, is it actually a good distraction to have sometimes, especially when things aren't going too well on the field? Last 5 weeks we've been losing games. Is it good to sometimes have that little bit of a distraction, just as far as mental clarity and focus is concerned?
Yeah, for sure. I'm obviously pretty privileged to work with a family member. So when I go to work, it's as much as we're working, it's complete opposite. We're having a laugh, getting our minds off everything, and yeah, I love it.
Then when you have to go see a physio or anything like that, is your uncle pretty flexible, or he's like,
Yeah.
toughen up, princess?
Nah, he's good with all that stuff. He's not really like a boss.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right.
He's good. He's the best.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic, mate. You're living you're living
That's
the
it.
dream, aren't you?
I say the same thing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Mate, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to jump on Dinamo-TV. Lucas, we love having you always on the show. It's always great. But all the best for this Sunday, and not only this Sunday, obviously the rest of the season, and keep that goal scoring form happening. It's fantastic.
No, I will. Thank you very much, Tonchi. Always a pleasure.
Always, likewise. Lucas Byrnes, he's from senior men's team, and he'll be in action this Sunday against Dandenong City at Churchill Reserve. 3 p.m. kickoff on the main pitch. We can't wait for that, that's for sure. We're going to take a very short break, and when we return, we'll continue with tonight's show here on DinamoTV.
Westar Prestige is a proud family-owned second-generation business servicing Victorian motorists for more than 50 years. We are a specialist prestige collision repair facility situated in the western suburbs of Melbourne. However, we service all regions of Victoria, with many of our clients travelling not only from around Melbourne, but all of Victoria to use our services. We are also able to provide a digital platform for quoting clients' vehicles who are unable to personally attend our premises. We are an authorised manufacturer approved repair facility for Mercedes-Benz, Tesla, Peugeot and Suzuki, and are proud of our ongoing affiliation with these brands. We also work closely with several of Australia's largest insurance brands who entrust us to be a part of their preferred repairer network. Our client support staff are always happy to assist clients from the initial process of lodging claims through to the final stages of collection of the vehicle on completion of repairs and post-repair. So remember, for all your prestige collision repair needs, consider Westar Prestige, an award-winning, long-standing, Australian-owned business.
And a big shout out to all of our sponsors and advertisers. Thank you so much for being behind the club. We're going to have a big Sunday. That brings us pretty much to the end of the show. But before we do go, as I said, it's going to be a huge Sunday this Sunday. On Sunday at the club. We've got the memorabilia appeal. Remember, from 12 o'clock, folks, head down to the club rooms for the big memorabilia appeal. The Pork Fest as well. That's happening from 12 o'clock as well. from 6 o'clock, last man standing. I believe all the tickets have been sold. But as far as the Pork Fest is concerned, do contact Anna on 0401 505 100 to make sure that you have got a booking. And of course, the big game kicking off at 3 p.m. Parking is very limited around Churchill Reserve, as we know. We're expecting a huge crowd. If the weather can be kind to us, well, that possibly might even inflate the crowd numbers by a few hundred. That leaves us with one more thing to say before we go. And that is that last Sunday we had Mother's Day, and it was celebrated by the club. And we celebrate Mother's Day every week here at Dinamo. But here's a little compilation of all of our teams, or most of our teams, and the soccer mums as well. So a big thank you, big shout out, big cheerio to all of our soccer mums at Dinamo for all the amazing work that they do behind the scenes with their kids, and also volunteering and getting involved in the club proper as well. My name's Tonchi Prusats. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I will have your company hopefully next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Until then, good night, and see you at the game on Sunday at Churchill Reserve. Bye-bye.